Hello and welcome. I'm Joseph, an educator at the Newark Museum of Art, and today we'll be looking at some pieces in the museum's Art of the Ancient Mediterranean exhibition. The Newark Museum of Art's exhibition, The Art of the Ancient Mediterranean, is divided into the Egyptian, Greek, and Roman worlds. While these were certainly three of the most prolific ancient Mediterranean civilizations, they were in no way the only ones. Smaller societies existed in tandem with these societies and often overlapped in many ways. For example, the Etruscans that lived near the Romans in Italy had a unique religion that the Romans subsequently borrowed from in many ways to complement their own. Etruscans even engaged in significant trade with Greeks. Yet, the Romans and Etruscans eventually assimilated under the Roman banner. Similarly, these three dominant societies also existed in tandem, and they conquered each other. With a particularly long history, Egypt was conquered by both the Greeks under Alexander the Great and the Romans. Therefore, it is important to remember that it is difficult to divide these Mediterranean identities clearly and distinctly, as the lines were continually being blurred throughout antiquity. The ancient world consisted of a huge geographic area connected via the Mediterranean Sea and a history that spanned thousands of years. By examining these artifacts, we can gain a better understanding of how life was back in these periods. Additionally, we can see some of the similarities and differences from how these civilizations compared to our own. This cup is displayed in the Art of the Ancient Mediterranean Gallery. It was made in the mid 1st century CE under the Roman Empire. While it is one of many examples of ancient glass housed within the gallery, this piece is significant because it is signed by Ennion, its craftsman. His signature stands as a testament to his craftsmanship. Ennion became a prolific glassmaker, and many examples of his work remain intact today. Think about why people sign their work. Why do you specifically sign your own work? Now take a few minutes to quietly observe the work. What do you notice? Is there significance to the inscription? The story of Ennion is extensive. This was not the only work that he signed, and historians have been able to hypothesize the major points in Ennion's life through these very artifacts. Ennion was likely born around Sidon, a city in modern-day Lebanon, at which time was a part of the Roman Empire, where he became a successful glassmaker. Where exactly Ennion's role fell in the glassmaking process is unknown. For instance, if Ennion was so successful, was he actually the maker of this cup, its designer, or simply the owner of the factory? In essence, had he graduated to an administrative role? Unfortunately, these specific details are unknown. However, we do know that Ennion likely moved his shop from Sidon to northern Italy. Despite his migration, Ennion continued to sign his work in ancient Greek, a common language in his native Sidon, but less so in Italy. His resistance to changing his language is interesting and significant. Why might Ennion have continued his practice of formally using Greek even if the language around him was Latin? Does his lack of transition specifically mean that he did not assimilate into the new culture? Do people today move around the world while also retaining parts of their old culture, especially their language? Much like Ennion, people today continue to migrate around the world. Talk to your friends and family to hear if they have any immigration stories and share your own story with them. Where did they come from? What were some big challenges for them? How did and do they balance becoming a part of American culture with honoring their original culture? If you moved somewhere else, what aspects of American culture would you try to preserve? This next piece is from ancient Egypt. It is the lid of a coffin, known as a sarcophagus, and it would have housed a mummy. The afterlife was extremely important to the ancient Egyptians, and therefore they believed in preserving the body after death, because they thought the body might be needed in the afterlife. To that end, people were often mummified and buried with both valuables and everyday objects to show status and to cater to their needs in the afterlife. As you can see, this lid is extremely ornate and features hieroglyphic text and religious symbols. Now take some time to quietly observe this work. Think not only about what you see, but also how it makes you feel and what it makes you think of. What specifically do you notice? How do these observations relate to the idea of legacy? The idea of legacy and wanting to be remembered transcends cultures, time, and space. Everyone wants to be remembered. However, the steps people take to achieve it can greatly differ. Henet-Mer was an aristocratic woman in ancient Egypt. Although little is known about her life, we are aware of her existence because of this sarcophagus. Ancient Egyptians were attuned to the power of memory and legacy, and the wealthier often dedicated large portions of their life to erecting a tomb to serve as a monument to their greatness. For example, the Great Pyramids stand as monuments and tombs to the memory of the pharaohs who constructed them. How do we remember people today? Do people still take the same steps to ensure that they are remembered? Now, write a letter to your future self that can act as a snapshot of your life right now. Make sure to touch upon the ideas of legacy that we have already discussed. Mention the things that you value, plans that you want to pursue, and where you see yourself in a few years. Make sure to store it in a safe place. An amphora is simply a vase-like container, like the one you see pictured here. Amphoras were extremely common throughout the ancient world and came in various sizes and qualities. Other amphora existed that are far less intricate, and some that housed oil were even discarded after use in a more disposable manner. Thus, not all amphora would have painted scenes on them, and not all would have been glazed over, like the one you see pictured here. One as ornate as this would be considered highly valuable, and thus a prized possession to be used by the elites. Ornate amphora, such as this one, provided another canvas for the Greeks to show images and scenes relating to their vast mythology, history, or culture. Now, take some time to quietly observe the work. Think not only about what you see, but how it makes you feel and what it makes you think of. The scene on this amphora is a mythological one. Mythology, or the religion of the ancient Greeks, was a keystone of their society, and these stories were the foundation of ancient Greek society. Examples of this dedication can be seen on both the large and small scale. The Acropolis in Athens houses a collection of ancient Greek temples, notably the Parthenon and the Temple of Athena, the namesake of Athens. However, smaller examples, such as this amphora, can provide a valuable glimpse into ancient Greek mythology in a more personal and everyday manner. This scene is of Hercules wrestling a lion, yet it is no ordinary lion. This is a special lion called the Nemean lion, and it is special because its hide is impenetrable to weapons and its claws can cut through armor. Hercules is tasked with killing this lion, which is clearly no easy task. As seen above, he manages to wrestle the lion to death and uses its own claws to skin the pelt. This is why, in subsequent art, Hercules is traditionally depicted as wearing a lion's head pelt. It is this lion, the Nemean lion. Thank you for joining me for this unique snapshot of the art of the ancient Mediterranean. The Newark Museum of Art is a great resource for art and artifacts from all of our galleries, and we have these exhibits currently on display. Also, be sure to check out our website for information on more events. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day.